Raging patriot. Welcome to KSOK Uncensored. Today we are doing a special edition on addiction and recovery. Guests on my show today, my very own little sister, Kelsey, and her husband, my brother-in-law, Adam. I'm excited to bring them in shortly and we can talk through some of their life experiences. I want to start by talking about things that are happening here in Portland, Oregon. I recently put out a video on the fact that the Portland Police Bureau is bleeding out police officers. They only have 603 sworn officers at this time, and they have lost 115 to date since July of 2020. Unsafe amounts of police officers are now on the streets. They have too few to adequately police our streets. At the same time, shootings and homicides, they're up 2,000%. It was approved yesterday to refund the Portland Police Bureau, I believe, $6 million so that they can reinstate a gun violence team. The problem is the damage is already done. There was a gun violence team, a gang team. They've decided to change the name probably to be more PC. There was a gun violence team in place already, and they dismantled it when they defunded the police back in June of 2020. Now, 2,000% increase, and they've realized that they made a mistake and they are refunding. The problem is, like I said, the damage is done. And you know who is impacted the most? The African-American community. When you look at the homicides, the statistics around them, that is primarily that community that has been negatively impacted. And the ages of these victims are so young, 14, 15, 16-year-olds. Also, the criminals, they're very young as well. We're finding that these homicides are being committed by young youth, very young youth. Something could have happened if resources were in place. At the same time, Portland has recently accepted a third party to come in and basically they're saying de-radicalize the Portland Police Bureau. They're going to be looking for, this is happening in California right now, and I did a video on it not too long ago. They are looking through all the existing police officers' social media, emails, communications, and they are looking for hate speech. The hate speech, as we all know, that is a slippery slope, and it is not long before being an outspoken conservative, Christian, and pro-lifer is going to be considered hate speech. Those deemed to be guilty of hate speech will lose their jobs. Anyone wanting to apply to be a police officer on the Portland Police Bureau will be declined. The other thing is, I posted a video yesterday. There are 31 exit statements made by recently departed Portland Police Bureau officers available for the public. I read them. I read about 24 of them yesterday, and they talk about, they're discussed with the city council. They're discussed with the mayor, who also serves as the police commissioner. They talk about the fact that the police chief is not strong and is not in the position for skill set. And they go on. These statements are powerful. And I want you to go check them out for yourselves. And actually, I highly suggest seeing if your local blue city that you live in has these made public to you as well, because there is a mass exodus of police officers, not only in Portland, but in many police departments in blue cities. This is a big issue. You are not going to be safe on the streets if there are not adequate policing available. Moving on, I would actually like to talk a little bit about our guests today. So like I said, my sister and my brother-in-law. Now this may be somewhat emotional. I seem to be generally emotionless, but we'll see what happens. my sister, obviously, we are the only two siblings in my family. So naturally, that's a special bond. We are 5 years apart. So growing up, we didn't have a lot in common. And I feel like that created just this underlying tension. We're very different and a big age gap. That said, I want to talk a little bit about what it was like when I realized that my sister was using. And it's one of those things where, someone like me, because I personally don't struggle with addiction, it's very difficult for me to wrap my head around why it's happening, why it can't be stopped. And I feel like a lot of people are like that and they just don't get it. And I'm completely guilty of it. Like, to me, it's like, why don't you just stop, right? But it's taken a lot of listening to be able to understand why things like this were happening and are happening. I am so proud of my sister. She did hit rock bottom, but she has been able to make it back to not only to the surface, but she is excelling in life. And all I wanted during these difficult years, and I would say it was about a decade of difficult years that she went through, and in turn the family, all I wanted was to be able to celebrate successes in her life. And though it came across as insensitive at times, that's ultimately what I wanted for her. I just wanted her to achieve in life and be happy. And so it is such a blessing today that I have my sister back. My parents have their daughter back, and she is not only back, but better than ever. And I'm not being cheesy. Like, she's amazing and just blowing me away every day with all of the work that she has put into herself and into recovery. Juan, I would like you to share this picture just for viewers, just so you know, this picture is a picture of the side by side of my sister growing up. She was like the cutest little blonde ever, still is. And that is rock bottom, I would say. And we will talk more about that. It's difficult to see, but when you see her today, it's going to put a smile on your face. So if we could go ahead and bring Kelsey and my brother-in-law Adam in, that would be amazing. Hey guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey. You can see just by looking at her, she's doing amazing. And I know, Kelsey, I asked for your permission yesterday before sharing that image, because obviously it's sensitive and it's very personal. But as we discussed, I do feel like sometimes, hey Gordy, I do feel like sometimes it is important for people to see that someone can achieve success like you have from that point, from that low. And just really, really proud of you. Kelsey,
thank you.
We talked yesterday. I'm going to give it to you. I'd love to hear your story. I would love for you to share your walk with the audience here. And just so you know, guys, as you can see, anything you say, your comments, for the most part, unless they're inappropriate, will pop up on the screen, and we are happy to do Q&A towards the end for sure. Take it away, Kels.
Well, hi, everyone. I just want to say thank you, first of all, to my sister for allowing us the opportunity to come in here and share a story today. You know, I'm very emotional already just hearing you say, you know, those things that you said, knowing where we've been and where we are now. It really is an amazing transformation. And so I could not be more blessed with this opportunity to be on here today to share my story with you guys. So I guess I'll just kind of talk about, you know, what it used to be like, what happened and what it's like now. You know, we are both involved in the recovery community in Vancouver, Washington. It's an amazing recovery community. For those of you that don't know, if there's anyone living in the area that struggles with addiction or is looking for some support, there is so much in this community. So it's amazing. You know, growing up, I always, I had a good life. We grew up in a great neighborhood, with lots of kids our age. My parents were together. I had lots of friends. But I always just felt like, I was different than anyone else. I just felt like there was something missing. I felt like I was on the outside looking in, and I don't really know. I don't really know why that was. I just know that I felt that. Birthday for me and the whole family. And my mom brought the cake out and everyone started clapping and singing happy birthday. And I remember I sank in my seat and I felt like embarrassed, like most kids would love that moment, to be the center of attention and all that. But I remember just feeling like insecure and embarrassed, and I was only 5. So, that's one of the memories that stands out to me. But, growing up, I just felt that way for a really long time until I got to high school. And, I learned that I could fit in a little bit better with the misfit kids and the kids that had, kind of just had each other, did their own thing, didn't really belong to any certain clique or group. I just fit in there, and I also found drugs and alcohol at that time. And, when I found those things, I felt like immediately like I was smarter, taller, prettier, funnier. I cared less about what people thought about me. My insecurities were gone. I felt like I found a solution to my problems, and I also learned very quickly that just by smoking weed with someone else. I mean, any of you that have ever done that or been in that crowd know that you don't really have to make friends by getting to know one another. But if you share that commonality, you can just say, hey, do you want to get high? And usually they're game, and you don't really have to go deeper than that. So I learned I didn't have to really share a whole lot about myself to make those friends. It was just like an instantaneous thing. And I really liked that. Obviously, I won't spend a whole lot of time digging into the real nitty gritty stuff, but alcohol and marijuana led to me wanting to try other drugs. I just kept wanting more and more and more, kept trying to get that, that next fix, that next high, that next excitement, and eventually that led me through countless just misery, basically, just endless, countless, friendships, relationships, just pain and misery, and eventually that led me to my, what became later my drugs of choice, which was heroin and meth. 2 things that I thought I would never do ever in life. I never wanted to do, had no desire to do them. And actually I kind of prided myself on the fact that I had never done those drugs. But, just one thing led to another, and I did end up there, and once I ended up there, that was the downward spiral. It took just a couple of years for me to completely drive my entire life into the ground. And, I stopped trying to hide the fact that I maybe had a drug problem. I stopped caring what others thought. It was completely like I had come to terms with the fact that I was a junkie is what I thought of myself, and that I was going to be that way forever. I was going to die that way. And I was just accepting that. I thought I was never going to amount to anything, that I was never going to dig myself out of the hole that I dug myself. I had already burned all my bridges. I had destroyed my family. I mean, just so much, and on the inside, I felt completely empty. I felt like a shell of a human being. I had, man, it's emotional thinking about it. I hated who I was when I looked in the mirror. I hated everyone else. I blamed my problems on everyone else. I was constantly searching for, something to fill that void and that pain that I felt inside. And if any of you have struggled with addiction, there's that feeling of powerlessness. There were many times where I really wanted to stop and I just could not stop. I couldn't stop. I would swear it off at the end of the night, and that tomorrow I'm never going to touch drugs or alcohol again. The next day is going to be a new day, the start of my new life. And I'd wake up the next morning and I would get high. It was like I couldn't stop. And, you know, those, the heroin and the meth turned me to committing crimes. You know, I started committing crimes to be able to pay for my drugs. And that led me to get into the system, you know, and that again, you know, wasn't enough for me to stop. All these moments of, you know, being told by the courts or being told by the judge, like they're giving me consequences. And I just still, for whatever reason, I just wasn't ready. And I was trying to escape my problems, and, you know, it just didn't work out. So eventually, you know, I kept going down the road I was going down, and I ended up getting sentenced to some time in prison. And I did do just under 2 years in the women's prison system. And, you know, I felt like that was my moment of clarity when I was, you know, when I was sitting in the back of the cop car for that very last time, it was like, I just felt like I believe that it was God, or what we call in recovery, our higher power. You know, I believe that that was a divine intervention for me. That was a moment of clarity where I gave up. I stopped fighting it. And I just knew that this was it, you know, and because obviously me trying on my own to get out of that situation for as long as I had was not working. And so I was removed, I believe by God, removed from the situation that I was in and placed somewhere where I had time to get clean, get clear-headed, get my mind back on track, and have a consequence that I couldn't talk my way out of or try to get out of, you know. So I had time to really think about where my life was and where it was going, and what I wanted to do next. And at that moment, you know, I didn't know what I wanted my future to be like. I just knew I wanted to stop drinking and using. And, you know, I spent some time there. The judge was kind enough and gracious enough to give me the opportunity of doing programs while I was there, which means I could do treatment for the last 6 months that I was there. It was the hardest, but the biggest blessing that I could have ever gotten, being able to not only have time while I was there to, you know, have the consequence of being incarcerated, but to finish it off with 6 months of an intensive treatment center. And I needed that. And so I was given the opportunity to learn about some tools to stay clean and sober for when I got out. And simultaneously, you know, right before, you know, I forgot to mention, I'm sorry, sitting right here, but right before I was incarcerated, you know, me and Adam had started spending time together. And so we were only dating a couple of months before I went off to prison. And, you know, the entire time I was there, he came to visit me twice a week, every week for the entire time I was there. He was a very good support to me while I was there, which a lot of the women that are in there do not have that, or have it for a little bit and then those people disappear. So I was very, very lucky that our paths aligned to where he was able to and willing to be by my side through that time. But so while I was there and I was in treatment, Adam had found a recovery group. Just for anonymity, I don't want to say what home group or which fellowship we belong to, but we do belong to a 12-step fellowship. And he did find that a home group there. And he was starting to learn about what it meant to live in recovery as well, while I was learning tools in the program when I was incarcerated. And, you know, when he would come to visit, we could see the lights coming on in each other's eyes. You know, some of the things I was learning in group were the things that he was learning in, you know, in his fellowship. And he, while I was there, asked some of the women to reach out to me and write me while I was there. And they did. And I started getting letters from women that I didn't know, that I had never met, women that were mothers, wives, sisters, daughters. They were hardworking. They were living these amazing lives, and they were taking time out of their life to write me, and they had never met me before, and they were sharing their experience, strength, and hope with me, and letting me know that, hey, we've been where you were and we're not there anymore, and you don't have to be there again, you know. And it was the first time in my life where I felt a part of something. You know, no one that I was running with or was friends with before I was incarcerated wrote me while I was there, and these women that didn't even know me were willing to take the time to do that for me, and that basically set the tone for me for the rest of my journey, you know, up until this point. You know, I got out of treatment and got out of prison, and hit the ground running. I asked one of those women to be my sponsor, and she put me to work and got me busy working the steps and reaching out to the women and going to meetings and just staying busy, you know. And my first meeting that I went to at our home group was Adam's 1-year birthday meeting. And what a celebration that was. There was over 100 people there celebrating his victory of over a year being clean and sober. And I had never experienced something like it in my entire life. And when we talk about a spiritual experience, that was it for me. I get emotional thinking about it. It was absolutely beautiful. I heard people that were just like me sharing these messages and shouting victory at the top of their lungs. I mean, we do things a little different in our home group. It was a very, very intense, emotional, and amazing experience. And I knew at that moment that I was home. I knew that my life was forever changed. And so I just hit the ground running, and I've just continued to be a part of that fellowship and dive in and get uncomfortable. And, you know, I have sponsees of my own now. I work with my sponsor. You know, we got married in September. You know, we bought a house. We're a part of each other's lives and our families' lives. We have real, true friends, and we have a solution today, you know, in our fellowship. We found that solution that we don't ever have to drink and use again, no matter what. And no matter what curveballs life throws at us, you know, we're not alone, and we don't have to pick up ever again to get through those moments, because we have the support and the tools that we need. And if any of you are struggling out there, you know, there is a solution, and just stick with it. You know, it's life is so beautiful, and I wouldn't want anyone to miss out on this opportunity. Thank you for listening to me.
Yeah, that was amazing, seriously. And I did tear up a few times, just so you know. I'm like, you're really good. You really I just appreciate you being so vulnerable and willing to share that. A few things came to mind, and I'm just curious, because as you know, really, while you were going through your addiction, I know it's a journey, but while you were really in the heat of it, Dad and I would get in just knockdown dragouts because I thought he was enabling you. And I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on, because I feel like quite often when there's someone with an addiction, there is someone enabling them. What are your thoughts on, or words of advice to someone? Like, do you feel like that helped you? Do you feel like that truly put you at a disadvantage on getting on the right track? What are your thoughts on, say, how Dad approached the situation?
You know, honestly, looking back on it, I feel absolutely horrible, you know, and I've made several amends to Dad for that, because I know that he was just wanting to save me and help me. Yeah. I mean, who wants to see their child suffering that way? And you just want to fix, you know what I mean? We just want to fix the people that we love. But I say this, and I've had to learn this saying a lot in recovery, is that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You know what I mean? Like, if I wasn't willing, nothing that Dad could have done would have gotten me to be clean and sober. I had to be ready on my own. I had to hit that rock bottom. I had to go through what I went through to be able to get where I'm at. I mean, period. You know what I mean?
Right. That's like really.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. You had cut out from it, and I thought that you were done. No, I was just gonna say, you know, honestly, it is something where I had to put, as my daughter gets older, obviously your niece, I'm just not going to say her name, but as she gets older, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I totally see why he did that. Like, who wants to see their child homeless or hurting like that? So I feel like I have had more grace with him over the years on how he responded, and I get it more. But yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, while you're in it, I'm like, why you have to let her hit rock bottom? But it's just so difficult. It's easy to say that when you're not the one in it, like he was with you. But I mean, just thank God you are where you are today. And you know, there were a few other things. I'm just curious, what would you say? Oh, that's cool. You see the comment here. This is what social media should be used for: people sharing their stories while others can listen and relate and communicate. I love that. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And that's okay. So that's, I just want to like interject real quick here. I love that because like, yes, my platform is political and current event based, but I was talking to Juan, our producer, and I was like, you know what, how would you feel about me going off script a little bit? And he's like, do it. Absolutely. Like whatever resonates with people. That's what we want to be, is a platform for the people. And so I think it's so cool to be able to do a special like this and talk about something that may be taboo for some, but for me, it's like, come on, it's like real life. And it's so cool. What was that?
It's happening more than ever in the world right now. I feel like recovery is the addiction is the pandemic, and recovery is a solution. Yes. You know,
I completely agree. That was one of my questions for you guys. And Adam, we will definitely, I want to hear your story too. But one of my questions for you guys was, do you feel like with everything that happened with the COVID pandemic, do you feel like that has drastically negatively impacted those with addiction during the recovery process? Sorry, go ahead.
It absolutely has. Yeah. I mean, we've seen over the last year or more, or whatever it's been now, we've seen, I mean, people come and go a lot. But I think that has increased by a good majority in this year or whatever. Yeah, people are losing their faith or hope or whatever it is, and running back to the bag or the bottle, you know, and it's easy to do, and it's kind of the easy way out, you know what I mean? And sometimes people just aren't willing to do what it takes to continue to live this life. And it's sad and it sucks, but that's the reality of the situation, no matter whether we're in a worldwide, pandemic or not.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I wanted to jump back on something because, so I know you guys started dating. Juan, can you show the picture where it's Kelsey and Adam many moons ago, and then Kelsey and Adam on their wedding day? I think we named it Image 2. So Kelsey and Adam have been friends since high school, and Adam was like a little brother to me. So it's really cool that they ended up going from friends in high school to getting married just this last September. I think it's such a cool story. But when, Adam and Kelsey, so when I say they started dating, they had known each other in high school, et cetera. And probably, I think they had something for each other in high school. But the fact that you, Adam, it meant so much to my whole family. One, when we did find out that anytime that we knew, Kelsey, that you had gone to jail, prison, whatnot, I could see, like, it was like, it's as sad as it is on one hand, it's like we knew you were safe. For the most part, right? We knew you were safe in somewhere. I don't know. I've never been, so I don't know exactly how safe it is there. But anyways, we knew where you were. Let's just say that. Yeah. And then Adam, to this last time, Kelsey, the last time, and I know there won't be another. When I feel like you had the book thrown at you in a sense, and I do think that was probably the right move. And like you said, what saved you in a sense, but. it was interesting because Adam, you and I had met for lunch, and you were talking to me about the fact that you guys had started dating, and you were visiting Kelsey like twice a week from the get-go, twice a week. And it's actually quite remote here in Oregon. It's far from you. And I was just blown away by your dedication to my sister so early on. And I know my parents were as well. And it just meant so much to us. And I know it meant so much to Kelsey. And that's so awesome because like Kelsey said, not a lot of people have that consistency, that person you can rely on, and that person's that's going to stick around during the lowest of low times. Really amazing. And I know that's why you're married today. I mean, you're amazing. You're a stand-up guy, and thank God for you. Kelsey, I was reflecting on the first time I went to go visit you. And I'll be honest, like I felt really, it took me a while, like just to like, I was kind of like, this is like surreal, but I think Dad asked me to go with him, and I was like, oh, okay, let's do this. You know, it's not like I didn't miss you. It was just weird. Like it was just surreal. Right. And I did kind of feel like I was envisioning what everyone waiting to get in was going to look like. And though there were a few of those there, there were also a lot of people that just looked like me, Mom, Dad, like just like, middle class, and it kind of breaks some of that, just the unknown. Like I was just assuming everyone's going to be dragging her. I don't know. I envisioned just crusty folks in line. And I'm like trying to remain as professional as possible. But yeah, I was envisioning some, let's just say, difficult individuals.
What kind of cleans up or filters out some of what you're thinking is that you can't have charges to be on active probation to visit someone in prison. So that cleared a lot of those.
So it makes total sense.
Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, got enough water there? It's like the size of your torso.
Gallon a day. It's like a novelty.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
All the riffraff's already at the prison. They're just inside of it, Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, that makes a lot more sense now. I didn't know. It was it was a pretty relatively normal crowd. And I remember going in, and do you recall the first conversation we had?
Yeah,
what I was asking.
So she leans in and she goes, so tell me their story. What's going on? What's up with them? She wanted to know the dirt.
I wanted to know what these people were in for, because you look around and I'm like, oh, she looks cute. Like, what's her deal? Like, you know what I mean? It's just interesting. Oh, she's a stalker. Or yeah, she stalked her boyfriend after one date. So it was really interesting. Yeah. But also I think that the reason I was asking you those questions also is because it took me a few visits to be able to go there. I would say, as you know, like I kind of tuck my emotions. And so I wanted to keep it surface and like kind of fun, I guess. That was like my way of dealing with the reality of the situation. But kudos to you for playing along. I appreciated that. But oh, goodness. Well, I would love to give you the floor, Adam. I would love to hear your story.
Okay. Well, yeah, I come from a good family. Like we do have a history of addiction and alcoholism in my family. My grandpa died an early death due to alcoholism. Lost a couple of uncles along the way as well due to that. I've got an uncle still that is whatever he is. I don't know what you would call it. But he's not clean and sober, but he doesn't smoke crack anymore. So anyways, yeah.
We love him.
I love that guy. But yeah, so, it's in my family. I don't necessarily believe that it's a family issue, but, it can be, in the genetics. So, grew up, my dad always taught me to be honest and have integrity and have character and do the next right thing. And you know, I remember from a very young age feeling out of place and uncomfortable and like I wasn't loved, and I probably had more love than anybody else around me, honestly. And I just felt different, you know, and so from a young age, I started acting out to get attention and doing all of these things. And I was constantly in trouble at school. And, you know, somewhere I think in between 7th and 8th grade or something, I started drinking and smoking weed and doing that stuff. And, you know, that led me down a whole another road. It took me a couple of years to get there, but I ended up, you know, a few years after that, using methamphetamine for the first time. And then, like after that, it was pretty much all bets were off. It didn't matter what it was, I was doing it, you know. And I lived a really reckless life, quite literally. I did all kinds of crazy stuff, wrecked a lot of cars and motorcycles and myself and other people. And it was crazy. Like it was a really crazy life. And you know, I didn't know that we were going to end up here. You know, it never, the thought of living a life like what I'm living right now never crossed my mind. I thought for sure I was going to be dead by the time I was 25, and that didn't work out. So I just kept living the life, you know, all the time. My family's there, you know, and several years ago, they kind of had an intervention for me, and I started going to treatment centers and been to jail a few times, not for any length of time or anything like that, but you know, I lived the life. I was playing the game. And so I started doing the treatment center thing and in and out of those places. And you know, started about that time going to different meetings, recovery meetings and stuff like that. And I just wasn't willing to really do anything different at that time in my life, you know, and so my self-inflicted misery continued on for a bit longer, a few more years, you know, and then Kelsey and I kind of came back in contact. Well, what was that, about 5 years ago now? The
campaign right before Trump's campaign.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was about 5 years ago now, and like she ended up getting locked up, and you know, I got clean for a minute because she kind of gave me an ultimatum, and you know, she was sitting in prison telling me that I needed to get my life together, and so it was pretty bad, you know, it was a little bit out of control or whatever, and so yeah, I started back on the path towards recovery. It didn't stick right away. It took me another try after the ultimatum, and yeah, I've been doing it ever since then, you know, and I know now that like it was love. I love Kelsey and your guys' family and all of that. But at the time it was just like, I just made a commitment, you know, and it was like probably one of the only commitments in my life at that point in time that I like saw through to the end. And I'm really grateful that I did that. You know, it was hell sometimes. It was not always easy. It was expensive. It was, you know, it tested in many different ways. But I learned a very valuable lesson from that, you know, and it taught me a lot about life and making commitments and following through with commitments and being a man of my word and doing what I say I'm going to do when I say I'm going to do it. And that's what I do now. That's what I always do. That's the life I live today. And that that wasn't always the case. I would tell you I was going to be somewhere and not show up on purpose, just because I wanted to make you feel bad or something, whatever it was, and I'm just not like that anymore. And I also learned from that experience that people don't get a lot of support that are locked up like that. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of cases where people are locked up and in prison or jail, and they don't have any support. And when they get out, they have no other option but to go right back to the life that they were living, and there's, many people are incarcerated due to, drug offenses or drug related offenses and stuff like that. And alcohol too. I don't want to discount that, because there's a lot of people in jail for doing dumb stuff when they're, drunk and having the alcohol problem, which I do identify as an alcoholic and a drug addict, and people need support, and they need programs, and they need people like me and us to support them. I'm actually working with a guy right now, an old friend. I jumped online the other day, and because I knew he was locked up, and I found out where he was, and I started writing him letters, and we've been talking back and forth, and I found out that he hasn't had any support in like almost 3 years of being incarcerated in different states, and he hasn't had any support, and he's like super excited that I reached out to him, and that I'm living this life, you know what I mean? But to get back to like my story and my recovery, now it's like, this is what I want to do. This is why I'm here. This is the fulfillment that I get out of life comes from recovery and doing the things that we do and helping people and just being able to be there for others, and that's not something that I ever thought that I would want to do either. And I get the most joy in my life when I can see the light come on in somebody else's eyes and see the changes start to happen in their lives and them doing things differently than they ever have before, and that's what I like to involve myself with. And yeah, it's a good life, man. And like Kelsey said, if there's anybody out there struggling, reach out. And it's not, alcoholism used to be taboo, back when some of our literature was written that we read and that we live our lives by. Like alcoholism was like, people really frowned upon it, and they thought you were weak and pathetic and all of these things. And that's not the case. I mean, anybody can be an alcoholic, and you don't have to be genetically predisposed to be an alcoholic. You can drink yourself into alcoholism. And if that's happening, like, you got to reach out, and there's places to call and places to go. And there's so many resources out there. We do need a lot more resources. But there's a lot of options that people can do to be able to reach out and get the help that they need. And there's people available to provide that help. And I'm just really grateful to be able to be one of those people. Freaking love my life today. And I love the life that we get to live together and with you guys. And it's fantastic.
Well, that you guys are so amazing. Again, thank you for being so brave. And I know that both of you, so Adam, are you sponsoring somebody right now?
Yeah.
Is that how it works? Okay. And you're sponsoring somebody. And Kelsey, I know you are, right?
Yeah, I have 4 sponsees right now.
Sponsees. Okay. And that's amazing. And I know both of you, when we have family gatherings, you guys are on the phone often with either your sponsor or your sponsees. And I think it's so amazing. It's to say it's a lot of work. And this is just coming from someone who's witnessed it, just by having you around. I mean, you guys put a lot of work into your recovery, and that is an understatement. And you should be really proud of yourselves. And I know that it's so cool to see just our family be able to be whole again. And just really amazing to continue to watch both of your progress. So just really exciting times. And I'm so happy that you had a chance to share your story on this show. I'd like to ask you guys, because we may have somebody listening, and I forgot my Q&A. We have like 6 minutes, so I'll go there. But for anyone listening that may know somebody who's struggling with addiction, do you have any quick guidance for them on how to direct the person struggling with addiction, how to handle that situation?
So I would, the first thing you can do is reach out. There's 12-step recovery anonymous type groups that can help. Like the last time I got clean and sober, I didn't go to treatment before. Now I don't necessarily recommend that for somebody that has not been to treatment, because there's a lot to be learned there. But
aftercare.
But yeah, you can go to, there's treatment centers all over the country, all over the place. And that's a really good place to start, is treatment. And most treatments are 12-step based in some way. For the most part, they are. And then after treatment, there's meetings and aftercare and outpatient treatment programs, maybe mental health counseling, stuff like that. There can be a whole different variety of things that can be done. But yeah, just finding a place to go is a good start, as far as treatment goes and things like that.
I would say also just getting them linked in with looking at local 12-step meetings that are available, but not, they have to be a little bit willing. So maybe pointing them in the right direction, and hopefully they can get in the center of the circle themselves and find someone to, work the steps with, or find a sponsor if that's the route that they end up going. It is hard being someone that is not, if you're not actively in addiction or have not ever been, and you're not, unsure what that's like, that can be a little bit hard to relate to the person. But being patient, but not enabling, trying to find that balance, that's very hard. There's also Al-Anon meetings. That's
something that I wanted to mention as well. And what that is it's a family group. You had mentioned being enabled by family members. I think probably a vast majority of addicts and alcoholics are. I know I was, as well as Kelsey, and there's groups out there for family members to learn how to say no and learn how to set healthy boundaries and all of those things. And that can be a really big help, because when an addict or alcoholic loses a resource, that feeds their addiction, they may be closer to recovery.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Did you guys see it? There were a few comments that had popped up. It looks like we have someone watching who's going through this with their son right now. And looked like someone else who had gone, right. Yeah. I think that says Kurt. I could be wrong. It's so, man, it's so hard to see, because I know what mom and dad went through, and Adam, I know your parents as well. And there are no, and then a member of Anon. I know that mom went to, what is it, Al-Anon? I know she went to some of those meetings, and it really did help her. She felt like she connected with other mothers. And again, she thought the same thing that I thought when I went to visit you when you were incarcerated. She just expected it to be just people that were not like her whatsoever. And she was so wrong. She said there were so many people just like her that are going through this with their children. And I know it did help her try to wrap her head around what you were going through, what she's going through. And I know she told dad he should go because she was able to identify that he was enabling you. So it's where I think we can all, of course, dad's in the other room hanging out with the kids, so he doesn't know. I said,
my mom is going on too. So
yeah. I mean, it's just it is what it is. And but so cool. It's so cool that you guys have been able to come this far. And I'm just curious, you know, Kelsey, when you first got out, I know one of the things that really meant a lot to us to be able to help you out with, and Mom, and you got out, we're like, let's go shopping, get you some new clothes, right? Because it's like, it's just something, it's like you want a new start. And there's so many women that don't get that. Like you said, they just don't have those resources. And so you come out with maybe what you went in with, and then are there resources, like instead of us donating our clothes to Goodwill, could we find local shelters that women that have just gotten out, and men, of course? I mean, do you know of things like that nationwide, or should we just look up a local one?
Specifically, so I don't know specific names necessarily, but what I do know is like when I got out, I was in transitional housing, and this is in Oregon. Oregon does have quite a bit of resources, but when I got out, I was in transitional housing, or what they used to call like a halfway house, and a lot of the women there literally don't have anything, but they do have programs established within those housing places that give you like a voucher to Burlington Coat Factory, or they give you a voucher to Goodwill or whatever to at least get a couple of outfits for when you first get out, you know what I mean? Which is great if you literally have nothing, or you need like interview clothes and stuff, but they could always use more and have more options, you know? So I know like you even had given me a couple bags of clothing that I was able to share with some of the women there while I was there. And I know it meant a lot for them. So I can find out in more detail, but there are, I mean, you can look up places like that, but definitely as much as Goodwill can be great, you know, if you know a place where you could personally donate and know that it's going to be used right away to people that can't afford it, I think that would be really a great thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it made me feel good being able to, you know, pay it forward in a sense. It's like, and knowing that Goodwill's for profit, I'm like, oh, I really don't want to give them my stuff. So it was a win-win, really. So no, that's awesome. There's so much that can be done. And I just think, I know you guys do, you take time and you feed homeless, right? Your or your group that you're a part of, you guys get out in the communities and help pay it forward in a sense. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Our, fellowship, you know, obviously any of the fellowships really are service-based. So getting out in the community and doing service work, we say service work keeps you sober. So getting out of yourself and going to help others. So, you know, our home group does go volunteer at the Portland Rescue Mission once a month and feeds the homeless. We do plenty of other things within the community to help out. But like I said, Vancouver has an amazing recovery community in the area. So, you know, there's lots to be done, and always lots of service that can be done.
Yeah, there's more recovery housing in Vancouver than any other city in the state. So,
wow, incredible.
And more meetings as well, as far as I know. So there's a lot of recovery stuff happening here.
Sounds like a good place to be. I would like to play, Kelsey, I have that video of you that you compiled. I wanted people to be able to see her, your funny side. You're very funny. And this is a little video that I found on your Instagram that I want to play for the viewers.
I do this thing every morning. I get my iced coffee and take my first sip. And I do that. Here it is. Yeah, that was a good one today. Yep. Yes. Yeah. It's my day off today. Can you tell? This is yesterday's makeup. Pressed it on. I had to feel my way to my car keys this morning to come and get this.
Oh my gosh. Did you say you had to feel your way to your car keys?
Yeah. And that's clean and sober, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's just, I think it's hilarious. So do you actually like clench the fist each after you take your first sip?
Most of the time. I actually don't really, today, I'm not going to lie. I was going to say I don't do Starbucks anymore, but I'm not going to lie. I went there today, but I usually do Black Rock or Dutch. Yeah.
I know. I was so embarrassed that I got Starbucks and then I know. I try not to support them too.
I try to be Amazon. It's just
I love America too much for that.
Oh, by the way, show everyone your
yes, I make recovery great again. Oh my gosh, I love that. Seriously. You know what? I think when I roll out my my Blue State Conservative line, whenever that's going to be. Remember, Kelsey, you're going to be my business partner on that. But I feel like we need one of those shirts, Adam. That can be the Adam special. Wade called you a nerd. Mayor Wade of Fern, Iowa.
Oh,
all right.
Fern.
He's been watching the whole time. He's a big fan of yours.
Glad
all right, you guys. Thank you so much for being on. I love you both so much. And thank you for being real. And if you're open to it, I think this would be awesome to do again. And maybe we can throw Tracy in the mix because I think she's an amazing sponsor and just woman as a whole. So I think that would be great.
I'll talk with her about it.
Yeah,
maybe Q&A next time.
Yes, yes, for sure. Yeah, we could like dedicate half the time to that for sure. That would be good. Well, thank you guys so much. And I'm going to wrap it up, but I'll talk to you guys very soon.
All right. Love you.
Sounds good.
I love you too. Bye. Bye. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. As you can tell, this topic is very near and dear to my heart. That's my little sister. I only have one sibling and she's doing so well. So just puts a smile on my face. And you guys, she's a raging patriot, very conservative values. So let's not forget that. I know I wasn't going to be too political today, but got to throw that in there. So we have some exciting news. So RAM, Right America Media, RAM, R-A-M, we actually have a partnership now with MyPillow. So if you go and make a MyPillow purchase, you know, Mike Lindell, amazing patriot. If you make a purchase, there is a place where you can enter the code RAM, and then they will be able to see that you went and made that purchase because you were inspired by Right America Media. This helps us out as a channel. It gives us legitimacy, and we want to keep growing. And so if you could support MyPillow and RAM by doing that, that would be so appreciated. And again, I appreciate you tuning in for KSOK Uncensored, the special edition, Addiction and Recovery with my sister and my brother-in-law. And please stay tuned for Keith. Have a great night.